Hello, guys. My name is Joseph Ejike Oji, and tonight I'm going to keep you company again. Uh, this is a finance class, and I'll share my screen with you guys. So it's finance, modern finance, and the topic will be the time value of money. Time value of money. So it is a very important concept in finance. We use it, as a matter of fact, we use it every day when we apply. I mean, it's been applied every day when we apply for to banks to get loans for car loans, credit cards, and etc. Yeah. So now the time value of money. I will start with a question. Uh, in 1803, right, United States bought the Louisiana Territory from France, and they bought it for $11,250,000. Now, the question becomes, suppose that amount was invested for 211 years at 7% compounded annually. What will be the worth today? Now, we'll answer this question as we proceed in this course, okay? But it will give you a direction of what time value of money is. Simply put, time value of money is based or is founded on the notion that money available at present time is worth more than the amount that you have in future. Why? Because if you have 1,000 today, you can invest it tomorrow in a stock, and within a month, you start getting interest or dividend, sorry, or profits. So the earlier you invest the money, the earlier you start getting the profit or interest. So if somebody says, "I'll give you $1,000 today," or $1,000 next month, it's better you have it today than next month, because you start making money immediately. Or because by next month there might be other things might come in, some factors that might not make it possible for the person to give you the $1,000 next month. So the earlier you get it, the better. In other words, what time value of money is saying is this: that the money you, because of the money's the potential earning capacity of the money. So if you have it earlier, it is much better than to have it later. So a few key points here. We have but basically, provided that the money can earn interest, any amount of money that you have is worth more sooner than later. So the sooner it is received, the better. So financial managers, all financial managers understand the time value of money concepts and the effect it has on stock prices. And sometimes we call time value of money in the financial discipline, we call it a discounted cash flow analysis. And we can apply time value of money to anything that grows, things like sales, earnings per share, future salary, and so on and so forth. Again, the principle behind time value of money is that the money available at the present time is worth more than their money, the same amount in the future. Because of what? Because of its earning capacity. So everybody knows if you deposit $1,000 today in a savings account that earns interest today, then or you deposit, and if you are given a choice to deposit a savings $1,000 in a savings account that earn interest today, or to make the deposit next month, it's better to do it this month, because by next month you already accrued some interest, which is profit for you. Yeah. So now in our analysis of analysis that involve time value of money, or rather, if you want to put it in a different way, in our time value of money analysis, we'll be looking at into these areas or topics: the future value, present value, simple versus compound interest, and then how to calculate the interest rate. So this is what we'll be doing this week, throughout this week, next week, and so on and so forth. Now, let us start with present value and future value. Let me explain what they mean. Present value simply means the amount or the value an investment have today. So if you have $1,000 that you want to invest, the present value becomes $1,000. Okay. So so let's say that you have $10,000 to save or invest. This is your principal, or what you call the beginning amount, and hence it is your present value. So the amount today, or the value today, is what you call present value. Now the value in the future is what we call the future value. So so if you have $10,000 in the savings account today, and that account pays an interest of 2%, this means that by the end of next year it will be worth 10,200, I believe. Let's see. Let us check it together. Let's say it's $1,000, yeah, for example, and the account pays an interest of 2%, so it will be worth $1,020 by the end of the 1 year. That becomes that 1,200 becomes your future value, which means the amount in the future. When we do present value, future value, we have to be very good with understanding the concept of time and timelines. So in other words, the first step when you are doing a time value analysis is to set up the timeline that will help you to visualize what is going to happen or what is happening to that particular problem you are trying to solve. Let's look at this problem example here. It says, consider the following timeline in which the present value represents $1,000 that is in a bank account today, and the future value is the value that will be in the account at a time in the future. Let's say 5 years in the future. If the interest rate is 10%, now that will give you an idea of what the timeline could be. The beginning of the year, the period is 0. I mean, let's say that you started this year will be 0. Then you start counting next July next year, July next 2 years. So it starts counting the first year, second year, third year, fourth year, and fifth year. So that year you started is counted as 0. And this is the present value of that money. Based on the interest rate, it will continue to grow until they reach the 5 years. Now, how will this money worth at the end of 5 years? That means, what is the future value in 5 years' time? So we are going to look into that. But before that, let us look at some key concepts. Answering a question that involves present value, future value, it requires an understanding of this concept. PV represents present value or the beginning amount. FVN represents future value or ending amount, where N is the number of periods. Some books might use a different abbreviation or acronym for that, but at least if you can understand the principle or the concept, you can always adjust. CFT means cash flow for period T. Period T can be 1 year or 2 years, 3 years. For example, CFO represents the cash flow at the beginning. That's the first period. CF1 represents the cash flow at period 1. CF2 represents cash flow for period 2, and so on and so forth. And when we're talking about cash flow, we're talking about what the value will be for each year. Okay. Let's make sure you're seeing all this. Now, another thing we need to understand is for the borrower, The first cash flow is positive because money come into your pocket. Now the subsequent cash flows, as you are paying as it's increasing, if assume that this is a loan, the money that comes first cash flow will be, let's say that you borrowed $2,000. So the first cash flow will be beginning will be $2,000 to positive value. But over the years, as you are paying, let's say you are paying $300 every year, they represent money leaving your pocket, so it will be negative values. Now, for the lender, that is you, the investor, the first cash flow will be negative because you invested $2,000, which means that $2,000 left your pocket. So it's going to be a negative for you. Now, as the borrower or the investment keep paying more interest every year, it should represent positive cash flow because money is coming into your pocket. Now, interest rate is the amount of interest. I represent the amount of interest charged. Okay, and I represent the interest rate. Let's say it's a percent. Let's say 5% in our own the example that I gave you here. If you look at our example, our interest is actually it's 10%, so 5%. See, so the interest rate is the percent of the interest. Now the value of the interest, the dollar amount that represents that interest, which in our own case that represents the 10%, we use INT to represent it. So the dollar amount of interest earned, and N represents number of periods. In Excel, they use a NPER to represent number of periods. Okay. The question now becomes, how do we calculate present value of future values? There are four ways we can use. We can use the tabular approach, in which case we use interest tables to calculate the time future value or present value. Let me show you how the table might looks like. It's like this one here. Let's see. You have to be somewhere. Okay. I believe I have it. Let me open it for you. The table is okay. Looks like I closed it by mistake. Okay, in that case, let me show you the table. Let me open it again so you can see it. It's right. I have the link here, so I'm going to open it. I hope you can see it. That's the table we're talking about here. Make it bigger. You can see present value and future value tables. So these are the tables. So you can use during the time when we don't have calculators or Excel. That is what we use. Banks use to calculate in future values. Investors use to calculate future values. Bank use it. Investors use it, and other people, you know. So that's the first method. Now the second method we use is formula method. In this case, you have a formula for calculating the present value of future values. The third method is to use financial calculators. And the fourth method is to use spreadsheets, Excel. So for this class, we'll be using mainly spreadsheets to calculate future value and present value. But I'm going to show you the three methods. For the financial calculator approach, you have to buy the financial calculator itself, then use it to calculate it there. Now, let's start with the first question. We start with future value. Now, again, remember that future value is the value in the future. So what investment is what in the future? Now look at this question. It says, assume that you have $1,000 invested for 5 years at 10% compounded annually. Excuse me, I need to get a book so I can write some of these things down. This is an old school after all. It says, now it says, what is the future value in the future? What will this amount worth in 5 years? Or say, assume that you have $1,000 invested for 5 years at 10% compounded annually. What is the future value? Now, this example we use a spreadsheet method. Now, the formula we'll be using is Remember, when you are, I think I explained this in my previous lectures. When you are doing any work with Excel, first of all, you have to put the equal sign in the Excel in the cell to keep that cell in a ready mode to compute. So that means equal sign, this FB represents future value. You type in your interest, type in your number of years, payment, if there's any payment made, present value. If there's no payment made, you just put 0 there. Present value as the amount and type. Now remember, this type, we'll come to that eventually. I'll explain it more when we start doing annuity. For now, we're not looking at annuities, so I'm going to just put 0 or leave it blank there. Okay. Now, what do I want to say? So you type in those values in Excel, and Excel will give you the result right away. So I'm going to write this down. Our interest in this case is 10%. Okay. And the number of period is 5 years. Okay. Payment, there was no payment made. Okay, so we assume that there's no payment was made. The payment will be made at the end of 5 years. Okay, we have 5 years, so no payment is 0 since no periodic payments exist. Present value is the amount that you invested. Now, when you invest it, money left your pocket. So in Excel, you're gonna use a negative value number to represent this, which means negative $1,000. Okay. Now, for this type, you use 0 because you receive the payment at the end of the period. So you type will be 0. So let us go and put this in Excel and we get our answer to this question. So I'll refer you to Excel. Where is our Excel? I think it's right here. So I'm going to make it a little bigger. Good. I'm sure you can see it properly. Okay. So our interest is 10%. Just make sure, I want to make sure you're seeing this. Yeah, okay, good, excellent. Your interest is 10%. 10% change to decimal is 0.110. How many years? 5 years. 5. Payment amount, there's no periodic payment, so 0. Present value, how much did you invest? It was $1,000. So because now it represents money leaving your pocket, that means you can make it negative. When you receive the value of the investment, when you redeem the investment in 5 years' time, that will represent money coming into your pocket. And so that's why our answer will be positive. So negative 1,000 because money left your pocket. Time, you get the money, you redeem the investment after 5 years at the end of the period. So you put 0. Now let us calculate future value for this. Now we have if I may refer you to the equation again, if you can see that the formula is right here. Put the equal sign first, type future value, and click on all this that we have entered in Excel. So we proceed as follows. We have equals future value FV. Okay, it's coming out. Now, for the interest, click interest, comma, put comma. Number of years, 5 years, comma. Payments, there's no payments, there's no periodic payments, so click on it, comma. Present value is this, comma. Now, for the type, you can see it right here, 0 for at the end of the period, 1 that is at the beginning of the period. So we collect you redeem your investment when it matures in 5 years. So we use 0. This 10. Then you press the enter key. See, you can see the answer right here. Okay, it's $1,610. So which means that if you invest $1,000 at 5%, sorry, at 10% interest for 5 years, it will worth this amount. Now, I wanna explain this to you. This Excel method is very good because you can use it for many types of calculation. Once you do the first one, you can just change any. It is very flexible. can change any, if you can change any value, and it will recalculate it for you immediately. Let me explain what I mean by that. Suppose we want to do this using 5% interest. Okay, for example, instead of 10% interest. In that case, we have what we have to do is to copy it and put it here, or I can do it here and change this interest to 5%. 5% means 0.05. It will recalculate it for you immediately. See? So when it's a 5% interest, it is $1,276.26. So we invest $1,000 for 5 years at 5% interest. What you gain when you redeem your money after 5 years is 1,276. That is, if the interest is 5%. If it is 10%, it is gonna be $1,610.51. Now, so that's how it goes. So if you are set to increase the interest, Excel will calculate it immediately. So let's say that I want to change the interest to 12%, and I want to change the years to 10 years. So 12% is 0.12. When I'm doing this, I want you to watch this here because it will be recalculating it for you. 0.12. So you see interest, see, it will recalculate it for you. And for 10 years, change this to 10 years. And so this is what banks use to calculate interest for whoever invested in their any of their investment products. So that is the one thing about Excel method. It's very flexible. Now, having said that, you remember our first question at the beginning of this class. The first question I asked was an investment the United States made in 1803. They bought the Louisiana Territory from France for the price of $11,250,000 in those days. That's a big amount. If that amount was invested for 201 years at 7% compounded annually, what is it worth today? Okay, so we can now use this to answer the question now. Let me write it down. Here, our interest is 7%. Okay. Our number of period is 211 years. And our payment, no periodic payment, PMT is 0. And what else? We have present value, amount invested, amount they bought it, which represents money leaving US government pockets. So assume that this money was invested by US government. Okay. Now, investment, say present value, how much they put in, 11,250,000, okay, dollars, and type is at the end of 211 years, which is 0 for time. So now, in that case, let's go and put this in our Excel. That since we have done the calculation already, so the formula is there now. So the United States US what territory they bought? I forgot it. Let me go and check the name of the territory again and put it in. Is Louisiana Territory purchase. Okay, Louisiana Territory purchase. Louisiana Territory problem. Okay. So I'm taking back to this. Louisiana Territory problem. I'm gonna problem. Okay. Now the interest. So I'm gonna copy this since I've already done the calculation in Excel. I just change the values, and it will give me the answer right away. So Excel is very good. They make the life of financial analysts, financial managers, and even investors themselves very easy. So 7% is 0.07. As I do this, I want you to watch how it will be recalculating our answers. So 0.07, okay. For how many years? 211 years. Okay. And then you have amount investors were negative because it represents money leaving US pockets. So negative 11,250,000. Okay, you can see that's a large amount. So that's why it have this kind of symbols here, because it's a very large amount. So I'm gonna expand this. I see that's a lot of money. Almost a 17 trillion 829 billion 107 million 930 thousand 111.70 cents. Well, that's a lot of money. I mean, I don't know about you, but to me, I know this is huge. So I believe that I have covered giving you enough background on what future value is. We're going to do more examples of this in subsequent videos. I hope you enjoyed the lecture, and if you do, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you for listening, and I will see you in my next video. Bye bye.